Geographic isolation has produced a small but distinctive selection of animals and birds in New Zealand. Although the land mass of these three South Pacific islands is small, it provides great variety of habitat. Before human settlement, there were no land mammals as predators, so the bird life thrived in a land that was mostly covered with native forest. Unlike the neighboring continent of Australia, with its diversity of animals and birds, New Zealand evolved with only one species of falcon, which has survived to become an extremely versatile and significant bird of prey. Nature is not complete without creatures that prey on others. As predators, they have evolved as controllers of population within the laws of nature. Throughout the world, there is increasing concern for its raptors, or birds of prey. These aerial predators are among the most highly skilled and spectacular of all birds, especially in their hunting technique. The two forms of raptor are the owls and the hawk-like birds, such as eagles and falcons. In many countries, the birds of prey continue to decline, mainly through loss of their natural habitat and continued exposure to pesticides and agricultural poisons. Apart from two species of owl, which are nocturnal, there are only two hawk-like birds in New Zealand. Both are raptors of the day. The common harrier hawk, which is also found throughout Australasia, and the endemic New Zealand falcon, a truly unique species. Most of the world's raptors have become very specialized in their behavior while competing for food and habitat. In contrast, the New Zealand falcon has evolved without pressure from other predators and has become extremely adaptable. As a completely fearless hunter, it displays strong determination in pursuit of its prey and is one of the fastest flying birds in the world. The male's smaller size gives him advantage in flight, while performing as hunter and provider. The female is larger for her domestic role in feeding and protecting the young. The mottled plumage is soft, and vertical bars in the feathering provide camouflage. Apart from their size, they have similar features. A facial shield protects the eyes during impact of the kill, which is mostly done with the talons. Vision is the most highly developed sense in any bird and can be up to 7 times more sensitive than in humans. In birds of prey, where greater perception of depth is required, the eyes are set further forward. This acute forward vision is binocular and contributes to the falcon's hunting skill. It attacks with fearless determination at speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour. The unsuspecting quarry may be killed in midair or taken on the ground. The male calls to his mate to receive the prey by way of an aerial food pass. This spectacle of falcon behavior is seldom seen and is performed at very high speed. Food can also be passed at recognized feeding stations on the ground or in a tree. If the female is not available, the male can bring it directly to the nest or to one of several larders within the territory. Food in storage can be used during adverse weather when hunting is restricted. A larder is also defended strongly. Since European settlement, this confiding bird has been much maligned and persecuted by humans. Although protected by law as recent as 1970, the falcon is still killed by people with the shotgun philosophy. Defense by attack is the way the determined birds instinctively protect their young. High country farmers are often attacked while mustering their sheep through traditional falcon territories, mostly during the nesting season. Although the musterers may avoid the attack, it can create chaos amongst the dogs and sheep. A recent survey indicates that only 1% of run holders are aware that the falcon is a protected native bird, for it's still shot on sight in some areas. Random shooters account for 2/3 of all reported killings. If the young are unable to fly, they usually avoid the shooting, but do not live very long without food. These orphan birds are sometimes recovered in the wild and reared in captivity for scientific study. Recently, the first captive breeding program for the New Zealand falcon was successfully carried out on a Canterbury farm by a raptor biologist from England, Dr. Nick Fox. This film records highlights from his 3-year research, which has since been acclaimed in many countries as a significant contribution to the future study of all birds of prey. Fieldwork begins in winter with the individual training of a pair of orphan birds in hunting. A small bell is attached to each bird so that it can be easily located. Stooping to the lure, which is a tuft of baited feathers, stimulates the bird to take its prey. The common harrier hawk makes a sizable comparison. This slow-flying raptor is a carrion feeder, which can also take live prey. The next stage of the young falcon's training takes place in high country, where it will eventually be returned to the wild. In this natural habitat, the versatile bird displays its unique combination of flying skills. Short, rounded wings give rapid acceleration. Long tail feathers provide both rudder and flap during high-speed maneuvers. Locating falcons in the wild is not easy, but there are ways of determining where they live. They feed mainly on small introduced birds and animals up to the size of a large rabbit, but the proportions of this diet have previously been unknown. Part of each meal, such as fur, feather, and bone, is not completely digested, but regurgitated in the form of small pellets. When analyzed, these pellets reveal details of the falcon's diet. The roost may be used again during the coming nesting season. Adult falcons tend to stay in the same broad area all year round. This home range includes the nest site and hunting locations. Near the end of winter, the secretive birds take up territory. Flight plays an important part in the building of a pair bond. Often called bushhawk and occasionally misnamed sparrowhawk, this medium-sized raptor is one of the world's 38 falcon species. The nest, or eyrie as it's called, is often located under an overhanging rock, preferably with a wide view of the territory below. Gradually, the pair bond is strengthened through courtship. On this occasion, the female begs for attention. During mating, the male uses his wings to maintain balance. During the past 200 years, more than half of New Zealand's bush cover has been sacrificed for the creation of farmland. As the falcon fed mainly on forest birds, it was forced to adapt to the open country with its variety of English species. These introduced birds increased dramatically and have now become the basis of the falcon's diet, while the number of bush birds taken is very small. Falcons still live in the forest. In this case, a natural cave is being used as a nest site. Generally, they're not nest builders, as the eggs are laid in a small scrape in the ground. Incubation is mostly done by the female and takes about 30 days. A more typical nest is found in the high country. The chicks are 7 days old, and the male is close by to protect them. During attack, the New Zealand falcon defends more strenuously than any other raptor. Even for Nick Fox, the nest site is a dangerous situation. Early records of the discovery of this bird describe it as having a tigerish propensity. As the chicks grow and require more food, the male hunts most of the day while his mate feeds and protects the young. She is seldom away from the nest except to receive a food pass. If the male is delayed, she may bring food from storage or go hunting close by. Whatever her movements, she won't be away very long. The 10-day-old chicks wait patiently for their share of the meal. The female is not under pressure from the young, and her gentle approach reveals the placid side of her disposition. This peaceful domestic scene will soon change dramatically. As competition for food increases, the young grow more aggressive towards each other and their parents. Survival is now for the fittest. In this family, the two larger chicks are getting most of the meal, while the one at the rear is gradually being starved. Unless the food supply increases, the smallest chick will weaken and be devoured by the other two. Entering a confined nesting territory on the edge of the bush can be an unforgettable experience. The nest, with its young, is under a fallen tree and is difficult to defend. The attack is not always vocal, and this adds to the confusion. As the young reach the age of 3 weeks, their raptor characteristics are clearly seen. The hooked bill for tearing of flesh. The tooth in the upper mandible locks into a notch in the lower, like teeth in a vise. It can be used for killing during aerial attack or as a holding device when tearing the prey. The structure of the eye is similar to that of humans, but is more highly developed. A transparent membrane acts as a protective shield during impact and also helps to clean the eye without loss of vision. With little sense of smell, the nostrils contain tubular baffles to maintain a steady flow of air during high-speed flight. The male returns with food. The female is ready to receive it. Back in the eyrie, she finds that the young are not in position. Chick 1 takes over the meal, but the female repossesses. This demonstrates assertion of parental control. She resumes feeding, but the dominant chick is determined. The female is still in control, but only just. With so much activity, the female is now under pressure. On her return, she finds that the young have dispersed, but are soon back. For their size, they show considerable strength. When able to fly, the young will also receive food by aerial pass as part of their flight training. In contrast to calm conditions, when moving objects can easily be seen, strong wind tends to keep small birds under cover and harder to locate. Turbulence affects takeoff and landing and can also disrupt the food pass by forcing the birds to fly lower than usual. If the pass fails, the male can bring food directly to the young. At the age of 3 weeks, the young are less dependent on the eyrie for security. The rocks above provide shelter and perching sites. Although unable to fly, they can use their wings to maintain balance. A passing harrier hawk unconsciously flies into the territory. The falcon rolls into attack. While the slow-flying harrier rolls in defense and presents its talons just before impact, or just keeps rolling to avoid further attack. With abundant food available, all 3 chicks are progressing well, although the young are still unable to take large pieces of food. The youngest is having problems again with the wind. By the time it climbs back, dinner is off. Early summer in the high country. From the summit rocks, the female is calling to her young, which are now 4 weeks old. She must entice them to climb to the highest point, where they will live until able to fly. One is uncertain where it is going. With 2 of the young safely on the top, the third decides to backtrack. As the demand for food increases, both birds go hunting. On rare occasions, the female stalls as she climbs to receive the pass. But all is not lost, for the male is still on top to make a perfect recovery. He descends towards the young. To land on one foot with the prey held firmly in the other. Wings are exercised in preparation for their first sustained flight. The young birds are now free to roam, but will stay within the home range until they reach breeding maturity. During the next 3 months, these handsome young falcons will catch insects, lizards, and mice while learning to hunt for themselves. As they become more proficient in aerial hunting, larger prey will be caught. But first, they must learn to fly. Back on the farm, Nick Fox has just fed the farm animals and is about to feed his resident falcons. During 3 years of research, he's traveled widely to record the previously unknown nesting biology of the New Zealand falcon. But the most important breakthroughs have been achieved in his own backyard. As a result of his first captive breeding program, he has since pioneered a new technique in raptor research by encouraging a pair of wild falcons to nest in a human habitat. These birds are not captive, for they have accepted this domestic site because it provides for their needs. Their only human contact is by way of an occasional meal to supplement hunting. Although captive falcons have been bred successfully in other countries, the survival rate of young birds has been low. This new approach provides a convincing alternative and has worldwide applications, particularly in countries where birds of prey are close to extinction. Late summer comes to the high country, and the wild birds are now free to roam. The realities of human progress, the loss of natural habitat, and the endless use of poisons continue to threaten much of New Zealand's bird life. Although further research is essential, this country is fortunate in having greater knowledge and understanding of its endemic falcon. for it can now plan a clear conservation strategy for the continued preservation of this significant bird of prey.